today's video, I'll be talking about various keyboard interfaces that existed from 1981, with the first IBM PC being released in 1981 with a AT keyboard port. The first IBM that was released had an AT keyboard port, and they used the AT keyboard like this. And this has about 5 pins arranged in this fashion. And just about every computer that existed from 1981 to, I guess, 1990 all had this AT keyboard interface. So this keyboard is an AT keyboard from the early 1980s. I got this at work. They had a whole bunch of these keyboards like this for old computers that they had at work. Some of these computers were from, I guess, 85, 86, 87, and there were keyboards like this as well. And this is a model K8-M102 AT keyboard. Has this thing here which you can use to support it like that. Surprisingly, it's in very good condition despite being how old it is. It was in the basement at the place where I worked, so there was a whole bunch of computers and old peripherals like this, and that's where they kept all the stuff, and they wanted to like clean it out. So I asked them if I could have some of this old stuff. They said, sure, you could have it. And that's how I got it. And the type of mice that were used back in, when I first had my 386, when I got it in 1989, it was 386SX. It did not come with a mouse. There was no mouse. So what I had to get was a Microsoft, I think it was a bus mouse, and it came with a card which I had to install in an ISA slot in the computer. That's how I installed the mouse, because the computer that I bought did not come with a mouse. Although they did sell serial mice back in the 1980s. They also had them in the 1990s as well. But they came out with something else called a PS2 port. This is I think a PS2 port has about 6 pins, as you can see. This is a PS2 port. This is a PS2 ball mouse. This is one that I used back in 1995, 1996, 1997. A ball mouse like this. I still have it. Had it for a very long time. This is a Logitech, let me see, model M-C24 ball mouse. Very old. As for serial mouse and keyboard, we'll talk about serial mouse. I stopped using serial mice back in, I guess around 2002. That's when I bought my first USB mouse, and I started using USB mice from 2002 to the present. I still use USB mice and keyboards. This is a PS2 port. This was released in 1987, like I said. And as for PS2 keyboards, I had been using them from, I guess, 1994 when I first got my Pentium 100 megahertz computer. I was using PS2 port like this. So I was using the same keyboard. The keyboard that I had was a Microsoft keyboard with a Microsoft serial, not serial, but PS2 mouse, PS2 port. The mouse I stopped using in 2002. I bought a better optical mouse with a USB port, which had much higher resolution. So I started using that. And this one, not this exact keyboard. The one that I had was a Microsoft one. I got it in, I guess, 1998, and I used it until 2013 when I had my. I used it until I had the Intel i7 960 based computer. I was still using a PS2 keyboard. So this is the PS2 keyboard. Don't remember when I bought this, but I had it for quite a long time. I have another PS2 keyboard, which is here. This is a Gateway one, which came with my Gateway E3400 computer that I got back in 2018. Bought it for like $75, and it came with this PS2 keyboard. It's very durable. This thing is came out in 2001, I think, or maybe 2000. I'm not really sure. I'll see 2001. The Pentium 1 gigahertz came out in 2001, and so this is about 24 years old. This keyboard works. I tested it on my Gateway E3400 computer. And it works. It still works good, but it's kind of beat up. It's missing this thing. That part has it. It has some scruffs, but it still works. Surprised it still works. The plastic on these old keyboards are a lot more durable compared to the newer ones. This is 24 years old compared to the plastic on this keyboard, which feels a little bit more. It's not as durable as this. This is pretty heavy as well, and it's very durable in every way. Here's a USB keyboard. I had a lot of USB keyboards of all types. I bought membrane keyboards like this. I also bought mechanical keyboards. For some reason, none of the mechanical keyboards that I bought really lasted a long time. I have a Razer keyboard, which I will show you. Bought that in 2015, and I kind of like mothballed it because I was having problems using it. this keyboard here, this USB Razer keyboard, as you can see. I bought this in 2015. Having some issues with this thing. It's a good keyboard. It's heavy and everything. It's a mechanical keyboard. I paid about $82 for it back in 2015. But I'm having some problems with the keys. Some of the keys when I press it. See, this thing's even falling apart. And the quality of these newer keyboards, despite doesn't matter how much you pay for it, is less than the quality of the keyboards that came before it. This is a deluxe keyboard, yet it even has a USB port here where you can plug in a USB device. It has a here's the connectors to it. There's two USB things, one for the USB port here, and an audio and a stereo jack as well. I wasn't really happy with any of the mechanical keyboards that I got. It was advertised that these things would last a very long time, but in reality they were less durable than the cheaper membrane keyboards that I bought. This one I bought, this is a Logitech membrane keyboard. I bought this back in 2013, and this thing still works, and it only costs $10 opposed to that mechanical keyboard which I paid a lot for. And it was crappy because despite all the hype about lasting a long time, it really didn't last long. And these older keyboards, even this one that I bought in 2000, I think I bought it in 2009 or something, it still works. I don't have any problem with it. It still works good. And there are still PS2 ports in computers. Not in the latest computers that I got, like the computer that has the i7 13700 KF processor. That computer's motherboard does not have a PS2 port. However, on my i7 4790K computer, which has, I forgot what the motherboard was called, but I'll just say it's an i7 4790K computer. That one has PS2 ports, so I can use a PS2 keyboard like this, or I can use something as old as that Gateway keyboard, which also has a PS2 6-pin PS2 port. That's possible. So that's what I want to share with you today. But today, these days, I just use a membrane keyboard. I'll show you something like this. That's just a regular membrane keyboard that I use. Nothing special, and just a regular gaming mouse like this, which is USB. That's what I use these days for my computer. Everything is USB now. And I have to say, the keyboard that lasted was the membrane, the cheaper membrane keyboard. I'd like to know what you think in the comment section below. And thank you for watching.